we know that this is not Islam. Number two, we know that it's exaggerated. You know, if we're going to highlight violence committed by Christians and highlight that as violence, we're probably going to find a lot of examples as well. But nonetheless, there is violence committed by a very, very, very small group of Muslims under the name of Islam. And there are many things on the internet that tries to radicalize the youth in order to be associated with that path. Now, especially overseas, you'll find that violence, one of the elements that fuels violence is the oppression that many of the people feel that they are under. And many times dictatorship regimes and other regimes who oppress people and who make people resort to this sort of path in order to try to effect change. That's the reason. It's not a good reason. It's a problem. But the fact that you have a problem, the way you should solve a problem Islamically is through the appropriate means that Allah allows. Just like somebody who might, for example, he might be oppressed or wronged by someone. Somebody stole your money. That's wrong. But the Islamic way of getting your right back is not going there and killing the person. Allah tells us how to solve that in different stages. And it's interesting to note, just as an observation, that everybody will probably conclude that there is much less of that type of violence in America than in any other place around the world. Definitely than in Muslim countries. And especially Muslim countries where there is a lot of oppression that happens. And one of the reasons why, I think, my view, why this is the case, is because the American system and culture and psyche allows for people who feel oppressed or feel that they are wrong, not just to speak out, but to actually change things without violence. So that deflates the need for violence. As a matter of fact, it's very interesting to sometimes, not often, but sometimes hear from law enforcement who are trying to deal with that issue and frankly don't know how to deal with it. They are pumping in so much money, billions of dollars, but they don't know how to deal with it. It's a very new problem in America. It's a problem that has been faced even in the Muslim world much, much before 9/11. Because there are so many more Muslims who have been hurt and killed by those violent extremists than non-Muslims and definitely than Americans. So the American government is trying to deal with this and it's posing a big challenge for them, and I'll mention to you why. But the point that I wanted to mention is that it's interesting to note that many times law enforcement, whenever they're talking about this, they tell you the following. They tell you radicalization, being radical, is not illegal in America. Very interesting. Being radical is not illegal. It's your right to be radical. If you want to be radical, it's your right. As a matter of fact, the people who founded America at that time were very radical. So America has incorporated in its foundation a certain element of tolerating radicalism in order to ensure that no one in society would be oppressed under the name of containing radicalization. What is not appropriate, not right, what is illegal is that you commit violence against others under whichever name, radicalization or otherwise. But if you want to hold radical thoughts in your head, that's your right in America. And by the way, that's very different from other countries. And that's something that is interesting to note and to remember. Yeah, and that's why, and I'm going a little bit into just sharing with you some thoughts just to get the fluids in our mind thinking before we open the discussion. That's why there are the main solution to that problem, if it exists, especially in America, is Islam showing everybody what Islam truly is, that Islam is against that type of violence, hurting innocent people, blowing up things just to let out frustration. And another thing that is very powerful in deflating that ideology or that violence is the American system. Because the American system allows any community, allows any individual who has grievances to voice these grievances and to try to change these grievances, whatever they are, as long as as he or she is doing it using peaceful means. Now, the problem that the American society is facing right now, it's a very interesting problem, that there are elements in the American society who's putting a lot of pressure, because Islam and Muslims are, by and large, we are the newest kids on the block. We are the new African Americans. We are the latest immigrants. We are the latest minority. That's just a fact. 2/3 of our Muslim community are either first or second generation immigrants, and the other third are African Americans. African Americans have a history of prejudice that has happened against them in America, and the other 2/3 are either first or second generation immigrants. So we are, there are, just like there were attempts with every other minority before us to not to let them have a seat on the table, that is also being attempted towards the Muslim community in America. And there are many who are saying, look, we can, as Americans, we can consciously live with our conscience while reducing the rights that these people have because of the security problem. Because we want to keep America secure, because we don't want to have another 9/11, because we don't want to have another shoe bomber, because we don't want to have some Christmas person blowing up planes in the air. We as a country, there are elements in the American society who are saying that we as a country can live consciously to our conscience while taking away some of the rights that these people have. For example, to allow for profiling. Profiling is illegal in America. But there is tremendous effort pushing towards, well, in that case in particular, it's okay to profile the Muslim community. There are also others in America who have nothing to do with Islam, by the way. They are not doing this because they either like or dislike the Muslim community, but because they genuinely believe that this issue is core to the foundation of America. That America was built on certain ideals regarding the rights of the individual, like the elements in the Bill of Rights, regarding the fact that you should not profile, you should not seclude people or mistreat them or treat them differently because of their religion, because of their background. And even though America struggled a lot with that, with many minorities, not to mention the African American minorities, they do have a track record of often overcoming that to a degree at least better than many other places around the world. That's just a fact. It's unfortunate because we would love for America even to do better. We'd certainly love for the world to do better. We'd certainly love for the Muslim world to do better. But we know that there are discrimination everywhere. There are discrimination even in Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately. It's not a perfect world that we live in. And discrimination is very much against what Islam teaches. And that's why, by the way, and that's a whole other discussion that I'm not going to get into right now, there is so much of the American foundations that align so much with our Islamic values. Not the culture of Islam that is being practiced in different places around the world, but in the foundations of Islam,